Daemon Targaryen just turned Harrenhal into hell, and nobody saw it coming. Imagine waking up in the biggest, baddest castle in all of Westeros, feeling absolutely untouchable behind your massive stone walls, and then watching the sky turn blood red as a dragon that looks like death itself shows up to crash your party. That is exactly what happened when Daemon Targaryen decided Harrenhal needed some aggressive redecorating. And by redecorating, I mean complete and total annihilation. If you're loving this deep dive into Targaryen chaos, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell, because we are about to get into some seriously scorching history that you will not want to miss. So let us paint the picture here. The year is 130 AC, and Westeros is in the middle of the Dance of the Dragons, which is basically the most expensive, dragon-filled family therapy session in history gone horribly wrong. The realm is split right down the middle. Team Black is backing Rhaenyra Targaryen, the rightful heir who everyone conveniently forgot about when her father died. Team Green is supporting Aegon II, who apparently thought inheritance laws were more like inheritance suggestions. And right smack in the center of this royal catastrophe sits Harrenhal, the biggest castle in the Seven Kingdoms, looking like an absolute fortress that could weather any storm. Plot twist, it could not weather Dragonfire. Now, before we get to the fireworks, we need to talk about why Harrenhal mattered so much. This was not just some random castle. This thing was a legitimate architectural marvel and a strategic nightmare for anyone trying to conquer the Riverlands. 5 massive towers reaching toward the sky like stone giants. Walls so thick you would need a month of Sundays to break through them with conventional siege weapons. A godswood that had seen centuries of prayers. This place was built by Harren the Black, who spent 40 years making it the most impregnable fortress imaginable, and it showed. The castle could house thousands of soldiers, had enough storage for supplies to last through years of siege, and basically screamed, "Good luck, try and take me." How strong held Harrenhal, and they were firmly Team Green. This was a problem for Daemon Targaryen and the Blacks, because controlling Harrenhal meant controlling the Riverlands, and controlling the Riverlands meant controlling one of the most resource-rich, strategically vital regions in all of Westeros. Whoever held Harrenhal held the keys to the kingdom, literally. So Daemon looked at this massive fortress, looked at his dragon car axes, and thought, you know what? I bet I can solve this problem in about 2 weeks. Spoiler alert, he absolutely could. Here is where things get absolutely insane. Daemon did not show up with an army. He did not bring siege equipment. He did not waste time building trebuchets or digging tunnels or doing any of that medieval warfare stuff that takes forever. He just rode up on car axes, the blood WRM himself, and basically said, "We need to talk about your castle's flammability." And Harrenhal, as it turns out, was extremely flammable when you applied enough Dragonfire. Car axes was not your average dragon either. This thing was long, serpentine, and had a scream that sounded like a banshee had a nightmare about nails on a chalkboard. Contemporary accounts describe car axes as looking like a blood WRM because of his dark red coloring and his unusually long, lean body. He was not the biggest dragon around, but what he lacked in raw size, he made up for in sheer viciousness and agility. And Daemon? Well, Daemon was the perfect rider for a dragon that aggressive. The Rogue Prince earned his nickname for a reason. This guy did not do anything by half measures. So picture this absolute nightmare scenario if you were defending Harrenhal. You were a guard doing your normal patrol, maybe thinking about what is for dinner, feeling pretty secure because you're inside the most fortified position in the entire realm. And then you hear it, that ungodly shrieking sound that makes your bones vibrate and your survival instincts scream at you to run. You look up, and the sky is blocked out by this massive red shadow that is diving straight toward you. The temperature jumps about 50 degrees in 2 seconds, and then the fire starts. Dragonfire is not like regular fire. We're not talking about a campfire that got out of hand. Dragonfire burns hot enough to melt stone, to turn steel into puddles of liquid metal, to transform a human being into ash in seconds. Those legendary thick walls that Harren the Black spent 40 years building, completely useless. Actually worse than useless, because they trapped the heat inside and turned the entire castle into a massive stone oven. The towers became chimneys, funneling smoke and fire upward. The courtyards became kill zones where there was nowhere to hide and nowhere to run. The assault lasted 13 days. 13 days of relentless, systematic destruction. Daemon did not just burn Harrenhal once and call it a day. He kept coming back, wave after wave of fire and death, making absolutely sure that everyone inside understood that resistance was not just futile, it was suicidal. Day after day, Caraxes would appear, rain fire down on different sections of the castle, and disappear before anyone could organize any kind of response. Not that there was much they could do anyway. What are you going to do? Throw spears at a creature flying hundreds of feet in the air. Shoot arrows that would bounce off dragon scales like mosquitoes hitting a windshield. The defenders had 3 options, and all of them were terrible. Option 1, stay inside and cook. Option 2, come outside and get incinerated. Option 3, surrender immediately and hope Daemon was feeling merciful. Most people wisely chose option 3, but not everyone got the memo in time. The casualty numbers from Harrenhal are still debated by maesters, but one thing is certain. It was brutal, it was fast, it was thoroughly one-sided. But here is the really genius part of what Daemon did. This was not just about taking a castle. This was about sending a message so loud and so terrifying that every other lord in Westeros would hear it and immediately recalculate their life choices. Daemon was demonstrating, in the most dramatic way possible, that the old rules of warfare were dead. Castles did not matter anymore. Walls did not matter anymore. The only thing that mattered was whether you had dragons, and more importantly, whether you were willing to use them without mercy. The psychological impact was devastating. Before Harrenhal, lords could reasonably believe their castles would protect them. After Harrenhal, that illusion was shattered. Every castle in Westeros suddenly felt a lot less secure. Every lord who was sitting on the fence about which side to support in the Dance of the Dragons had to ask themselves a very uncomfortable question. What happens when Daemon shows up at my castle? And the answer was always the same: nothing good. House Strong was effectively wiped out. The survivors bent the knee so fast they probably got whiplash. The castle itself became this cursed, haunted ruin that nobody really wanted to occupy. Even after the fires were out and the smoke cleared, Harrenhal was just this massive reminder of what happens when you stand against dragons. The locals started telling stories about the ghosts of Harrenhal, the spirits of everyone who died in the fires. Whether those stories were true or not did not really matter. The point was that Harrenhal became a symbol of dragon power and human fragility. Strategically, taking Harrenhal was a masterstroke. The Riverlands are the crossroads of Westeros. Every major road, every river, every trade route flows through that region. By securing Harrenhal, Daemon gave the Blacks control over the beating heart of the continent. He could intercept supplies heading to the Greens. He could control troop movements. He could launch raids into surrounding territories with impunity. It was like capturing the center square in a chess game, except the chess piece was a fire-breathing dragon and the board was on fire. This whole assault also revealed something crucial about medieval warfare with dragons. It was not just about brute force. Daemon could have probably burned Harrenhal in one day if he really wanted to push Caraxes to the limit. But he took 13 days, making it methodical, making it theatrical, making absolutely certain that everyone watching understood exactly what was happening and why. He was demonstrating dragon power, yes, but he was also demonstrating control. The message was clear: I could do this to anyone, anytime, anywhere. The Dance of the Dragons would rage on for years after Harrenhal, but this moment changed everything. It forced both sides to reconsider their strategies. It made dragons even more valuable and terrifying than they already were. And it cemented Daemon Targaryen's reputation as one of the most effective and ruthless commanders in Westerosi history. Love him or hate him, you cannot deny results. The man conquered the unconquerable fortress in less than 2 weeks with minimal losses. Thanks for watching, and remember, in the Game of Thrones, walls are just suggestions when someone has a dragon.